Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today let's talk about the market once again, closing off the week. Of course, a pretty spicy week for the most part. I mean, it started off spicy, then it got kind of boring in all honesty. But all that being said and done, let's get it started. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button as per usual. It does help a lot. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. But let's just jump into it. The market's closing in just about 5 minutes. Tesla looking like it'll be closing around this 179 to 180 level, which is going to be down about 2.3 roughly percent, give or take. So let's discuss, ladies and gentlemen, what does this mean? Is this bad? Is it over? Is it time to crash? A pretty brutal day for the market itself. Tesla, I don't know, it's hard to say if it's performing or not. I mean, tech isn't really doing that bad, but Tesla's, it is a tech stock really, and it's doing a lot worse than NASDAQ, but it's doing kind of in line-ish to SPY, so it's a little, you can argue it's performing a little bit worse than, it should, but it's nothing to pay attention to too much, right? But regardless, all that being said, let's discuss what this actually mean moving forward. So guys, we talked about yesterday how the risk versus reward to the upside is very, very limited, and we did start off the day going up a little bit, actually went up a little bit even higher. 186 roughly was the high of today, which was great. Unfortunately, that was pretty much, that's as high as we went, right? And we talked about how, the movement to the upside, even though it can go up to as high as 190, is very, very limited, and the risk versus reward is just really not there. And this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Where, we did go up a little bit higher. Maybe people got, bull trapped by this and whatnot. And then we ended up collapsing out of this little ascending channel that I talked about yesterday, right? So now the fact that we collapsed out of this ascending channel, or not really ascending channel, but I guess you can make it, I guess it is technically, but more of like a bear flag / dead cat, if you will. The fact that we finally came out of it, broke down out of it, is not a good sign, obviously, right? This could be a fake breakdown, of course, you never really know for sure, but, it doesn't seem like it, right? And the main thing I personally see coming, moving forward from here is going to be a move. So there's two things that can happen, right? I think both of them ultimately lead to the same thing, which you guys know already is, unfortunately, again, I don't want to be bearish, but, I'm just saying how it is. If you're upset about that, then, sucks to suck, I guess. But essentially what I see is either we just go pretty much straight down like this, right, and move down to my ultimate price target, assuming the bull trend holds, of course, which is around that 150 145-ish level, or bulls might get one more chance to get out, where we essentially come up to retest this breakout. Well, I guess in this case, this breakdown, so it'll come up maybe almost to 190 still, which would essentially, retest this breakdown, and then ultimately make our way back down as well, right? It doesn't really matter which path it takes, in my opinion, regardless if you go like this or if we just go straight like this. I think that's more or less irrelevant. The point is the fact that I do believe that this breakdown is most likely going to play out, and I don't think this is a good sign. Now, the one thing that the bulls, again, nothing is for certain, right? You always want to look at both aspects. You want to always look at both things, right? And the one thing that the bulls do have going for them, I would say, is the fact that Tesla did hold around this pretty pivotal area right here. You can see around this kind of 177-ish area, which is pretty important because you can see it got rejected here twice, and then it got supported here several times, and now we actually got supported here again. So the fact that we did hold this 177-ish area, it's actually a pretty good sign. Well, not a pretty good sign, but it's a sign for the bulls to at least have some hope still. And the fact that, I'm not 100% sure the bears will just completely take over. I do think the bears have a pretty good advantage over the bulls here, but I don't think the bulls are, should completely be counted out just yet. It's more of like an 80% the bears favor, 20% bulls. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I look at it, right? On top of that, you can also see that when we came down with these candles right here in the 1 hour to this pretty much area that we were already at just yesterday, I believe, right? I think this was yesterday, Wednesday, sorry, this was Wednesday, right? You can see the RSI actually went well below this area, even though it did essentially come down to more or less the exact same area. So, it's just something to consider, right? It's a little bit more of a bearish and a bullish looking RSI in the 1 hour. The daily is not looking, too hot. It's pointing straight down. It got rejected, like I said, pretty much right at this little median line, if you will. So that's not really a good sign. And, all of these things essentially being put together, guys, it's just not something that you really want to be seeing right now as someone that's a bull, right? That's someone that, wants Tesla to continue rallying and wants Tesla to go up even higher, potentially even breaking these highs right here. I just don't see it happening. Now, if I were to put on like a bull cap, if you will, right? And just think about, from a bullish perspective, right? Like, okay, fine. What if something miraculous happens? What if, Tesla's deliveries are amazing, or just something actually happens that just puts the bears to shame, at least temporarily? What could that possibly be? Well, in my opinion, the pretty much, I guess, quote unquote, realistic best case scenario for the bulls from here on out is to make another move all the way up to around this level, around, you know, maybe 210-ish, let's say, give or take, which will ultimately make a much more obvious double top, essentially, where we go up here and make a double top like this and then make our way potentially back down. I do think this will actually, ironically enough, make the pattern a little bit more bearish than bullish, in all honesty, once, assuming it of course plays out this way, because of the way, you know, these formations usually actually play out. But with that being said, you know, this to me right here is pretty much the, like, you know, the realistic best case scenario that the bulls can hope for. The fact that Tesla gets one more rally back up to like 210 truly sets in like a massive double top, you know, of course being, you know, right here, and then being another one right here, right, and then makes its way all the way down from there. That to me is the realistic best case scenario. I think the chances of that are not very high. Like, I would give that maybe like a 20% chance at best, right? That's essentially that 20% I was talking about, which, you know, I don't want to completely count out, right? I do have some bullish positions still open. You know, I'm like, technically, if those positions, you know, the cash secure puts were to fill, I'd have to do the math on it again, but maybe that's like 20% of my portfolio, and then 80% is like pretty much cash, just waiting, right? So, you know, if this happens, that's fantastic. I make money on that, no issues whatsoever. If it doesn't, fantastic, arguably better, because then I get to sell some really juicy cash secure puts on the fall, which I do think is a much higher chance of happening than not happening, right? Moving over here, you can see we are still getting rejected by the 21 EMA, but of course the 50 and the 100-day moving averages are still kind of, you know, relatively supporting us, that are, you know, well below, not well below us, but it is below us, that will act as most likely a support unless something, you know, crazy happens, of course, which is something else to of course consider, right? That's very, very important. The Bollinger Band, you can see, is still you know, it's kind of sandwiching still, but it's not really, it's kind of going sideways. Nothing really to note there. Again, you know, the white line of the Bollinger Band is still above us, which I still think is a possibility to go, but you know, it really just depends on what happens from here on out, right? Again, I personally think there's a much higher chance to go down than to go up from here. But, you know, whether it's a retest from here or the best case realistically for the bulls to come up for a massive double top formation back to like 210 roughly is the other option as well. But I personally wouldn't bet on it. I personally wouldn't, you know, buy calls or something like that. Just my opinion, of course. You know, betting on something like that happening, I do think the chances just aren't favorable, at least in my opinion. But of course, anything can happen, and you always want to keep your options open. So again, that's why I have some bullish positions open in case that happens. But I am much more leaning towards bearish positions in a sense, mainly because I'm just, you know, much more cash than actually being in the market as of right now. So that, you know, if we do rally, at least I make something off of it still, and I'm not sad about that, you know, missing out, if you will, right? That's the way I like to position myself, and I feel like I cover most bases while favoring a specific pattern or a path, if you will, which of course is the downside, right? So that's more or less kind of the way I'm looking at it, guys. You know, taking a final quick look at the weekly, let's remove all the drawings for now so we can get a better look. You can see, you know, we did come up to this general level that acted as a support over here. You know, it's like the thing that's awkward for me is the fact that it does feel like it could have went higher. Really, like, I'm actually pretty surprised we didn't go up to 190 this week, man. It could happen next week though, right? I still think 190 can potentially happen next week, which could be that retest of the breakdown that I just talked about on the 1 hour, right? It really just feels like 190 like almost needs to happen before we really move down, at least. But I don't know, it's hard to say for sure, right? Again, you know, even if it does happen, it's not, you know, betting on that is, in my opinion, not a good decision, right? That's just my opinion though, right? I don't think it's a good decision, but ultimately that's kind of what I'm seeing, guys. So I do think that we will most likely make our way down at some point very, very soon, most likely at this rate as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's more or less what I am seeing as of right now. Let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed these videos, don't forget to hit that like button. We've been nailing these moves on Tesla pretty damn good so far. Very happy about that. And yeah, so hopefully we can continue doing that. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.